let's fucking go. I'm Jarl Rentham with the Retro Review of WrestleMania 17, the greatest WrestleMania of all time, taking place mere days after Vince McMahon bought his competition. I own WCW. It's such good shit, pal. Okay, I really need to stop doing that Vince impression because it tends to wreck my throat, and it was also a terrible impression. But anyway, yes, I fucking love this Mania. My favorite Mania of all time, and many others agree. If you love this Mania, please let me know in the comments. If you think another Mania is better, please let me know why in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. But really, from beginning to end, the crowd was electric. The Houston Astrodome, and the fact that the Monday Night Wars had just ended is just a whirlwind of just all this great stuff. And yes, the ending is very, very divisive. There are ways to look at it positively. There are ways to look at it negatively, like, the entire fallout. The fact nobody wanted to boo Austin, but were there a lot of great matches? Oh, yeah. And not every single match was great, but just everything felt special. This felt like the culmination of just, every, great storyline. Yes, they would do, some good business afterwards in 2001, even the Invasion pay-per-view. They would have, a really high buy rate because people wanted to see WCW and ECW versus WWE, and they totally shit the bed on that Invasion angle. But man, it was just such a build, and people wanted to see Austin and Rock, and they wanted to see the undercard as well. It was layered, and it was spectacular. So let's jump right on into it. So yeah, the Houston Astrodome, 68,000 people roughly. They actually announced it as 67,925. But, WWE never messes with numbers, like 93,173 in the Silverdome. Yes, Hogan, at that time, it was the Silverdome. And we get a video package of past Manias and everything with, just people watching their TV. Some people watching TV in a wrecked out car. Apparently the apocalypse had hit somewhere in the world and we didn't know about it. And the Heat match, by the way, was X Factor because you're dealing with the X Factor. Albert was at ringside, so it was just incredible. And X-Pac versus Grandmaster Sexay and Steve Blackman. And it went about 2.5 minutes. So it really didn't last all that long. My Way by Limp Bizkit being the theme, and it really fit. Like the lyrics, everything, it really did fit. And they, wrapped a really nice video package around that song for Austin and Rock. But just the theme fits so well for so many of the big matches. So JR and Heyman on commentary. Jericho versus Regal for the Intercontinental Championship, all because Chris Jericho pissed in Regal's teapot. I mean, let me tell you right now, when you piss in another man's teapot, that's just going to piss him off. It's going to be the number one reason why he drives to beat you. Just absolutely beat you, to beat the piss out of you. You always look out for number one. I think I've ran out of the piss jokes, and Jericho wins with a lion salt in about 7 minutes. I really, I didn't have much to say about this. It wasn't bad. It certainly was not a bad match. But it was a nice opener, and it would actually, be one of two Manias that Regal would open. He would open the next Mania against RVD. This match was better because he could work with Jericho better than he could with RVD. Shane McMahon and Rise in a Limo, WCW won. It's like Kerry won when Kerry won the NWA Championship, at the David Von Erich Memorial show, the Parade of Champions, held it for 18 days because Kerry Von Erich really wasn't worthy of being a world champion long term because he didn't want to keep his bookings. Anyway, enough history there. Though we are going to get a world-class reference a little bit later. APA and Jacqueline, and I always hear it as Jaqueline. Thank you, Derb. Thank you so much for that. That's all I hear. And they talk strategy while Bradshaw yells a lot. This is WrestleMania and all that. And, Ron's like, okay, if we're going to do that, let's get fired up. And then Jaqueline, God damn it, I can't unhear it. And then we have APA and Taz with Jaqueline versus Right to Censor members, The Good Father, Bull Buchanan, and Val Venus. And, well, they really should have called him Sean Morley. I don't really understand why they didn't just change the Godfather, instead of the Good Father, make him Charles Wright. I mean, we knew that was his name anyway. But anyway, noted crackpot Stevie Richards, or Steven Richards, was in the corner, and he started to cut a promo, and this match went literally 3.5 minutes. It did not go very long. It didn't need to. Clothesline from Hell pins the Good Father. That's it right there. Trish arrives pushing Linda in a wheelchair. I would like to know what the difference is between Linda McMahon in a medically induced state and Linda McMahon normally. Because if you've ever seen Linda McMahon talk, she has the charisma of somebody that is just bombed out on Quaaludes and never was able to get out of it. So anyway, Linda's there, in the wheelchair, just acting all drugged because she's not actually drugged up. After Trish had been made to bark like a dog and had that match with Stephanie at No Way Out 2001, which was actually much better than that had any right to be, Stephanie tells Trish, hey, I need you to spoon and, use your hands with some ice, that is. That's what she needed to do. She needed her to spoon something. She said this right in front of her mother. She wants another woman, her, Linda's husband's mistress, to spoon right in front of her. I might as well make this gross because why the hell not? And then Raven versus Big Show versus Kane for the hardcore title, vastly underappreciated match. And man, Raven just got bounced around a whole lot, didn't he? I mean, he just got abused. He got double teamed by these two big men. And let me tell you right now, I never thought I would see a greasy goth man bashed around and double teamed by two big 7-foot men on camera again. Again, always delete your search history, kids. So, they didn't fight for too long before they went to the back, and Raven was kind of, running and, hitting and running. They go to the back. It was kind of funny how Big Show, there's this weird fenced area that, apparently was, where they were going to do a hee-haw skit or something. And Big Show locks the ref and Raven in there along with himself. And then Kane tries to rip the door off its hinges and then just opens it. And then they just fight and everything. And then Kane tries to hang Raven with a garden hose. And then Raven gets tossed into a window, which is a really cool spot. I mean, just gets hosed and tossed into the window. Great spot. And then Kane and Big Show just fly through a goddamn wall. It was so funny. This match, I don't even really like hardcore matches generally, like hardcore title matches. I especially don't like death matches, but as far as the hardcore title concept, I generally didn't like them. I like this one. This fit, because there was some comedy in it, but there was some good stuff as well. Raven can make this stuff work, and Kane was believable because, my God, he was insane. And Big Show, it's funny that Big Show had this big return at the Royal Rumble where he lasted 80 seconds, chokeslammed a bunch of guys. I mean, he eliminated a couple of people, I think, but he chokeslammed a bunch of guys, and then The Rock eliminated him, and then he chokeslammed Rock through the announcer's table. And by this point, he was in a hardcore three-way. Let me tell you right now, when you get to the point where you're just in a hardcore three-way and you're just, bouncing around two other guys, you made some bad life choices. Trust me on this. So, he gets in the golf cart. Raven gets in the golf cart. And he ends up, and I didn't even know this at the time, but, I found out later. He did this, the pay-per-view is moments from going off the air. Because Raven crashed the cart and crashed into this fence area, and there was this little, opening. There was apparently power lines there, where if Raven had even gotten a little bit closer, it would have cut the power off to the Astrodome, and that would have killed the pay-per-view feed. Which would have been kind of hilarious after all that time of, Vince McMahon buying his competition, and then that happens, and then, their biggest show of the year gets cut off, and only, maybe the stadium crowd could see it, but nobody at home could see it. They would be paying out refunds. It would have been insane. Thankfully, that didn't happen. They get back to the stage. Well, actually, I did kind of like at one point where they were battling among all the, the refreshments, and JR's like, there goes the Snapple. I don't know why that made me laugh. They get back to the stage. Big Show looks to press slam Raven into a little stagey area, that's clearly collapsible. Raven kicks him. Or not Raven, but Kane kicks him. Raven topples over. Big Show topples over. And then Kane hits a diving elbow and covers, while the referee counts on the glass partition out there to 3. Kane is the new hardcore champion. And it was good shit. It wasn't it's not necessarily anything that's going to win any awards, but it was really good shit. And then The Rock arrives, gets some cheers, but some boos, and those boos will only grow louder by the end of it. Jimmy Snuka in WWF New York. Oh, ladies, please take the steps. Please take the stairs, or maybe even take the elevator, and just avoid Jimmy Snuka altogether. I wonder how many women got, hurt by Jimmy Snuka, allegedly. I'm glad Jimmy Snuka's burning in hell because it's what he fucking deserves. So anyway, Kurt is rewatching when Benoit made him tap, even though it wasn't an actual match. He's upset. Edge and Christian are trying to cheer him up. Now we get Eddie versus Test for the European Championship. It was fine. It was just eerie for the simple reason that both of these men would not get out of, this decade without passing away. Eddie would pass away in November 2005. Test would pass away, I believe, in March of 2009. Both way too, soon. Way too, way before their time. There was interference plenty from Saturn, despite the fact that that hat was absolutely ridiculous, and then Dean Malenko as well. Title to the head, 1, 2, 3, new European champion Eddie Guerrero. And then Foley says he will be impartial. Right here, in the Astrodome, and then gets a pop. And then Austin arrives, and he gets a pop, because of course he does, because he's Stone Cold Steve Austin. And nothing will possibly screw up his standing with the fans. Oh, except for something a little bit later. Angle runs down Texas like your flag is missing about 49 stars. Nothing against Texas, but it was a funny line. He faces Benoit. Okay. I can't watch a Benoit match objectively. I tried. I just can't. This was the battle of the two family men. It's just one handled, his family drama a little bit better. And roll up with the tights, 1, 2, 3. It was a good match. It was, but I'm sorry. There are certain things I can still watch. There are certain things I can put up with. People to say bad things, I can still go back and watch. I can't analyze it objectively. I will say, if you can, it is a really good match. I'm not going to knock anybody if they want to watch it. It is a well-wrestled match. But yeah, Angle wins with, holding the tights, which would lead to the Ultimate Submission match a month later. Wouldn't be the only Ultimate Submission match that Benoit would have in his career. And that's enough of that. So we get footage of them visiting the troops. After Kamala was, just doing shit on Regal's desk. Not shitting on his desk, but just doing what Kamala does. With Kim Chi and Harvey Whippleman, who I always feel like I need to be pressure washed every time I see Harvey Whippleman. Just something about him just does not, compute with me. He just looks really gross. Cut to Benoit, taking advantage of Angle. Man, at least the referees were there to stop it this time. Yeah, I lied. I lied. They didn't stop the assault about 6.5 years later. Ivory versus China for the Women's Championship. Right to censor is banned from ringside. They had no idea what to do with China in the last year, did they? I mean, yes, the thing with Eddie Guerrero was cool, but they didn't really have a clue what they were doing after that. She had the neck. I don't actually know if her neck was legit hurt or if this is just a storyline. But China just demolishes her and hits a press slam and gets a victory and wins the Women's Championship. And it was a cool moment for China. But unfortunately, it would be kind of, subdued because a couple months later she would leave with the bullshit that went on with Stephanie and Triple H and China being left out in the cold. I'm starting to think Triple H might have some skeletons in his closet with how that was handled, but China wasn't one of my favorite people, admittedly. I think she got a raw deal there. I really do. She also seemed like she even went to New Japan. She even wrestled there. She even did some other stuff, and she did some good stuff with her life despite her personal issues, and it's a shame she wasn't inducted in the Hall of Fame before she passed away. I will say that. And Triple H and Stephanie are pretty goddamn rotten for how they handled it, especially Triple H. But we then have, Cole talking to Vince about, Shane buying WCW, and Vince kind of just berates Cole, which should have happened for years and years and years. Because Michael Cole's really bad at his job. Thankfully, he wasn't on commentary for this particular Mania, which is probably why it was so good. So we get Shane, hey, let's say hi to the WCW people in the skybox. It takes the cameraman forever to find them because there were no stars there. And I'm sorry, but there was nobody there that was beyond like a mid-card act that was there in the WCW skybox. That's nothing against the people. But it's true. The WCW invasion was garbage. Not because people weren't talented, but because they weren't presented as equal. And the crowd, by the way, was like, wait, who? Where are these guys? Oh, why the hell do we care about these guys? And it's unfortunate. Anyway, Foley gets a decent pop. Vince and Stephanie come down to the ring. Shane McMahon's there. And, it's a street fight. Father and son. And it was better than it had any goddamn right to be. I have no idea why this match was so entertaining because the storyline of Vince McMahon wanting a divorce from his wife, her being in a medically induced coma, though again, Linda McMahon looks exactly the same regardless of whether she's medically induced or trying to maybe, get people to support certain, tactics and politics that she shouldn't. So yeah, fuck that idiot. But on this night, Stephanie kept interfering, and Shane, does a diving elbow through the announcer's table, crashes and burns, and then Trish brings Linda down, and then Trish was like, oh, Vince, it's okay, and then slaps him. And then Stephanie and Trish have their freaking, their, back and forth. Their cat fight. Ow. Couldn't even try to do like Joey Styles. Also another crackpot, but also very entertaining whenever he did that. So, Steph slaps Foley, and then Trish chases her away. Vince McMahon says, "You bitch," to Linda. Yeah, but Vince is also an asshole. Oh, the crowd's chanting asshole after Foley had, tried to take Linda away and then got hit with a chair. And then he puts her in the chair and everything. He gets a bunch of garbage cans. He nearly throws one on Shane. I think it actually hit his ankle because he's like holding his ankle a bit. And he hits him with one right in the head and then throws it at the announcer's table, but almost hits Heyman. I mean, to be fair, it wouldn't have been bad if he had hit Heyman anyway. But some of the people that he owed money to might have cheered that. But then he's like, after that one shot, he hits a second shot. And then this building, I get so emotional just in a funny way just thinking about it because it's just so fun. This shouldn't have worked. This match should not have worked at all. It was ridiculous, but it was fun. And he says, "You watch this." And he goes to do that. Linda stands up. It's one of the biggest pops ever. At least at WrestleMania. One of the biggest pops. 67,000, 68,000, whatever the fuck it was. Go absolutely insane. Linda rose from her chair. And then Vince is looking. He's got the garbage can up here. He's looking down okay, wait, I need to get my legs. Okay, Linda, you're gonna kick me. We're live, pal. And then she kicks him. It's so funny because it's brief, but you can just tell Vince is like, Linda, I'm trying not to prompt you, but come on, kick me. Ow. All right, and then Linda gets outside the ring, and then Foley beats shit out, and the pop just builds and builds and builds, and then Shane hits the coast to coast, huge pop, covers Vince, 1, 2, 3, and it was great shit. And Shane and Linda, they embrace, good stuff. They hug, it's like, oh, son and mother reunited at last. Thankfully, not like Norman Bates and his mother, even though a boy's best friend is his mother. So it was really, really good shit. They celebrated. It was such great shit. It was such good shit, pal. But it was a match that had no right being that good. It's like Shawn and Vince had no right being that good. Access footage with the Hardys. They were talking about winning the TLC match. And they were running low on time, apparently, so they just, instead of doing a video package, just shot the crews, bringing out the various tables, ladders, and chairs. And the way they set them up. And I think that actually added more drama and actually made the match feel special. Like, oh shit, what are we about to see here? Well, we saw the triangle. We saw the ladder match that they had at, No Mercy 99. We saw the tables match that the Hardys and the Dudleys had at Royal Rumble 2000. The triangle ladder match that had tables, ladders, and chairs in it. And then the first TLC match at SummerSlam 2000. So what are they going to do here? Well, they turned it up for TLC 2, Electric Boogaloo, and it was a mess. It was a masterpiece. It was insane. I normally don't like matches like this, only because they're car crashes. But at this time, I hadn't seen as many of them. And this at least worked because all three of these teams pretty much were the modern equivalent of, reviving tag team wrestling, at least for a time, in WWE. And I say modern equivalent because you take a look at, tag teams in the 80s and even in the early 90s, there was a, great, plethora of tag teams. These are really the main three teams, but boy, they were fucking great. Lita, Spike, and Rhino all do spots at at certain points. Rhino for Edge and Christian, Spike obviously for the Hardys, I kid, for the Dudleys, and Lita for the Hardys. Jeff just, he got powerbombed into a table, but his head barely cleared. I'm amazed he didn't hurt his neck. I'm amazed he did not hurt his neck doing that. There are so many great spots. The headshots, I hated the headshots. I hate the headshots. Even looking back on some of the stuff, that's one of the only things I cringe at. I cringe at it now if I watch Old New Japan, if I watch WCW, if I watch this, and I get it. There are ways to protect yourself, but just taking the unprotected ones, that's not taking one for the team. That's pretty bad. But anyway, Spike got in. He hit the acid drop. The Dudley Dog, but the acid drop on Christian, and wiped himself out, wiped Christian out. That was really, really scary. And then Rhino runs in, and he actually ends up, he spears Bubba, he knocks down one other person, he hits Bubba, and then he spears Matt in the corner, spears him in the spotlight, losing his religion, and also hurting his neck, because he hits the table flush, and he's holding his neck, and you can tell he's holding his neck later. I think that's what led to his neck issues, where he was out for about a year, I think, something like that. I think it was sometime into the invasion angle, he had to go away for a bit. and have neck surgery. And I mean, I'm not these things happen, but it's just he spiked himself. He could tell he wasn't the same. And he did have a hardcore match at Raven, and obviously he was working through it, and he had to get a hardcore match Backlash 2001. But it would obviously bother him, and he needed the time off, and then he would team with Benoit, and he would turn on Benoit. And it was weird. Rhino was really miscast in WWE after coming back from that neck injury, and it's a shame because for a time he was pretty good. So anyway, Lita comes down. This line from JR. Lita jerking Edge off the ladder. That's not a pause I put in there. That's an actual pause from JR. That was hilarious. Is it bad? Sure. Is it telling of what would happen later? Sure. I mean, whatever. They're consenting adults. I don't care, but it's just really hilarious. Jeff hitting a huge swanton onto Rhino and Spike, just absolutely crushing him. So I don't know how the hell he, keeps walking in 2021. I even put up a video, where I had fans asking, why doesn't Jeff Hardy move so well in 2021? And then I put up Jeff Hardy in 2001, and there it is. And look, Andy, I'm amazed that both Hardys are even walking with all the shit they've done to themselves. So, Edge and, wait, I take it back. JR, Devon dangling dangerously. Triple D, it's not like diners, drive-ins, and dives. So Edge spears Jeff off, while Jeff is hanging, and he DDTs himself. Gee, I wonder why Edge had neck issues. God. Thank God he's back, and thank God he's able to do end his career on his own terms. But good God, that spot. And then Rhino, a little bit later, Rhino sends Bubba and Matt off of the huge ladder through 4 tables. Crowd explodes while Devon's trying to get up on the ladder. Edge is holding him back, and Rhino lifts Christian, and they grab the tag titles. They win for the second Mania in a row. Pretty damn good shit. Actually, it was great shit. Because this was exactly what you would want from a car crash match. And we get more access footage with various people, including a bit of an interview with Benoit, where he no doubt gave family tips on how to handle family time and have quiet time with your family. Should probably be done with those, but you know what? With a murderer like that and me not wanting to absolutely rage insanely, I have to make some kind of dark humored comments. So, Finkel announces the attendance, 67,925. If they had managed to cram 96,000 people in the goddamn Astrodome, man, that would have violated so many fire codes. So, Gimmick Battle Royal, which had the Bushwhackers, Duke the Dumpster Drozy, Doink the Clown, Nikolai Volkov, Tugboat, not the Shockmaster, would have been hilarious if it was a Shockmaster, the Goon. Took me a while to realize Bill Irwin was a Goon, probably because I remember Bill Irwin from his time in World Class. Earthquake, who had lost a considerable amount of weight, and it's scary, actually. Earthquake would only be alive another few years. Cancer's a bitch. Gobbledygooker, Brother Love, who I hate, absolutely hate him. Michael P.S. Hayes getting a huge pop because World Class Championship Wrestling. And he was out there, the Rebel Flag robe and everything. He did the moonwalk, he got a pop. Probably cursed out a few black people backstage, but I digress. Speaking, Kamala's here, and Kim Chi was also in the match. And One Man Gang, not Akeem. No, we didn't get to hear Jive Soul Bro. So Jim Cornette was there, complete with the tennis racket. Because why else would you have Jim Cornette in a match if you couldn't have him, have a tennis racket? Repo Man, Sergeant Slaughter, Iron Sheik, Hillbilly Jim, who used to be a Human Centipede, a boy baby, and he cut his teeth on someone's cheek. I have now ruined that song for myself and all of you. And also legend has it that his Hall of Fame speech is still going on to this day. So, commentaries by Mean Gene and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Mean Gene got a pretty good pop. Bobby got a really big pop. And the crowd popped for pretty much everybody. I mean, especially Michael Hayes. The entrances took 10 minutes, and I think the match was 3, maybe 3.5. Because all these guys are old. They was just out there just to do this stuff. Just by the time the Iron Sheik gets to the ring, it'll be WrestleMania 38. And was it like Mean Gene said, I think he got my, 5 years ago, I think he got my mother-in-law, and Bobby Heenan, about 4 years ago, everybody got your mother-in-law. I miss Bobby Heenan, I miss Mean Gene, I really do. I really goddamn do. And then they show a video package of Sergeant Slaughter, says, oh, that was him before, now he's shooting blanks. Dick jokes, I like it. And, yeah, the clown is down. I believe it was Rene Goulet that said that when Doink has debuted. The clown is down. Sheik wins, and Slaughter chokes him out. So that's pretty much it right there. Triple H gets played to the ring by Motorhead. Well, let me see how I feel about this. Actually, it was pretty damn good. Lemmy, pretty damn good rocker. And you know what? Rest in peace, Lemmy. The entrance course took about 4 years, as is tradition with Triple H. And then Taker races his motorcycle, of course, to the ring. And because it was a long ramp, he got to really open that shit up. Taker versus Triple H. I will argue their Mania 28 match is my favorite Mania match of their trilogy. The Mania 17 match is my second favorite. They really like Mania 27. In general, I will concede it was a well-worked match, but I like this one better. What I do laugh about, though, for 7 minutes, they're beating the shit out of each other. They're hitting some devastating moves, and the referee stops Triple H from using the sledgehammer. But then the referee gets bumped 7 minutes in and takes a nap. Like, literally, he is graveyard dead. Like, he is, you couldn't pour water on that guy. You couldn't wake him up with smelling salts. You couldn't wake him up by having a couple, South Korean women, hot as hell, like, come around and dance for him. I don't know why I picked South Korean women. I am rolling with it. And he's just down, and Triple H and Taker fight into, like, this partition, tech area, and Triple H gets chokeslammed off the partition, because why the hell not? Who gives a shit? And then Taker hits an elbow drop. They get back to the ring. The referee's still down. We get a sledgehammer shot out of a last ride, and the cuts opened up because I believe Triple H busted him open. He had staples in his head, and it was like, just this huge cut. I actually do remember it. I think it was on UPN or whatever SmackDown was on at the time, and it was something else. Last ride out of the corner, 1, 2, 3. And then the My Way, it was a pretty damn good match, honestly. My Way video package for Austin and Rock just fucking fit. These two created magic anytime they got in the goddamn ring. Howard Finkel announces that this match will now be no DQ. JR's thrown off. What the hell? Stone Cold gets a monster pop. Sweet Christ, I think the roof came off of the Astrodome and then settled back down. Because that's how architecture works. That's just what it is. You pop something off, it just naturally settles. This is how things work. I mean, why wouldn't you believe me? I know everything about architecture. So, Rock got a pop at first. He did get a pop because he stole the Rock. Because everybody pops for Dwayne Johnson. And then it got mixed, and then it got really, really bad. And Stone Cold versus The Rock, no DQ, WWE Championship match. The match is really, really good. I think that... I'm trying to debate whether it's better than 15. I think it is. I think 19 is still a little bit better, a little more emotional. Just because it was Austin's last match. Starts hot, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't. The nuclear reaction from the crowd was insane. The crowd, it was a sight to behold. I remember watching it on pay-per-view, and I'm like, holy shit, this crowd is loud. Like, you could see the camera shaking from how loud it was. Maybe not quite a Canadian Stampede 1997, but still... I mean, that was a small venue, and it was a crowd that would have rioted if the Hart Foundation hadn't won. And they would have rioted if Austin hadn't won here, just the way he won. They fight all over ringside. Austin, being a lot more heelish. Rock starts bleeding, and then collapses the announcer's table. Because Dwayne Johnson weighs everything down. I'm just going to make everything as uncomfortable as possible for people still watching this. And then we get so many boos for The Rock. Good God, whenever he was on offense. It wasn't as bad as what he did to Hogan, but it was close. It was close. Austin gets hit in the exposed buckle, gets the bell in his head, and oh no, he rung his bell, and now Austin's bleeding. And Rock's sharpshooter, look, it was better than his other sharpshooters, but it still wasn't great. Austin gets a sharpshooter that was a little bit better. And... $1 Million Dream, Austin hadn't used the move in years, I think pretty much since about 1997. About that match with Brett, I think, and then he stopped using it. And then Stunner by The Rock, huge stunner. And then, they're all battle tested, beaten and everything, and then suddenly Vince McMahon shows up. What the hell's going on? Why would Vince McMahon be here? And Rock hits, spinebuster, people's elbow. 1, 2, Vince pulls Dwayne Johnson out. I tried, I failed, rolling with it. He pulled the Johnson out. And man, whenever you pull another man's Johnson off of another man, you are in trouble. And Rock is like, how dare you pull my last name off? I'm going to chase you. Oh, Austin's like, fine, I'll ignore my hated enemy of the last million years. Rock bottom. Oh no, just for 2. And then Austin tells Vince to get the chair. And this is where the match gets really weird. Because he tells him to get the chair. The beatdown is on. Even though Rock tries to come back and everything. Vince keeps interfering. Rock gets Vince in the ring, starts beating him down. Huge stunner for 2, by the way. Huge. And then Austin gets a chair, beats him senseless, and just beats every last drop of like energy and, you know, everything out of Dwayne Johnson. Covers him 1, 2, 3. And then the handshake. JR selling this, like, just absolutely insane. Like, Vince McMahon has sold to Satan himself, or shaking hands with Satan himself. He's just, why, Steve? Why? Like, why would you do that? I will say at this time, it cemented the end of the Monday Night Wars, and they were going to go in a different direction. Now, I understood what they were trying to do in theory. Here's the problem. Nobody wanted to boo Steve Austin. Nobody wanted to boo him. And even though he tried, he beat the shit out of Lita. It wouldn't be the only time he'd hit a woman, but you know what? Let's just forget about that. He's still one of the greatest of all time. Others do way less and they get, canceled and everything. But Austin beats a woman? No, he's never beaten any of his other women that he's been with. Still one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, but you don't do that to another. You don't do that to your partner. I don't care what gender you are and what gender they are. Just be consenting adults. And don't beat your spouses, idiot. Anyway, Austin and Vince shaking hands, celebrating with beers and everything. If Austin had done what he had, said he should have done in later interviews, called an audible and stunned Vince, crowd probably would have popped. Crowd would have been like, okay, all's forgiven, whatever. We see Austin celebrate, and he did this, and then screwed over Vince for one final time. Because I didn't mind the two-man power trip, except for the fact that Triple H and Austin had been in this blood feud, and then suddenly they're together, and then that didn't work. It didn't work. They were grasping at straws because they lost competition and everything. But anyway, let me know what you guys saw of this WrestleMania in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm Charm Ritlin. I'll see you soon.